Battery welding? Really? Yes. So I had in previous videos or upcoming videos, so however I'm going to decide to post these, I got a future project for a battery pack that I want to upgrade. So basically I'm going to be taking a so-called 2500 milliamp battery pack and upgrading it to about 3.3. So that battery pack has 18650s in it. So I've already been in the pack because I was curious. So I already know that there's 18650s in there. And I also noticed on the other thing is that the battery pack is also welded together. So these little guys have been coming on the market, last couple of years. These little DIY battery welders. So I got one, but I got it from the same company that I got this nice little electronic screwdriver from, and that's the Sequre site there. So I got their Sequre battery welder. So unfortunately, I don't have the unboxing other because I've already opened it and played with it, and somehow the footage got lost. So it is what it is. So in the package, of course, you get a if I didn't mention it, this is a battery powered spot welder. So this is a welder interface, and the battery packs are inside, and it's rechargeable. So this is the actual welder and battery pack in one. So since it's got a battery in it, you're going to have to recharge it. So they include a USB-A wall wart. So this is your typical generic power adapter, 5 volts at 2000 milliamps. So it's a 2 amp USB charger. And then you get the charge cable. So it's USB-A to USB-C because it goes right there. So you can recharge it. Then you get a little sample of nickel strip. I don't know what size this is. I would assume it's maybe 0.15. I really don't know. Could be 0.10. I don't know. And then you get the destruction manual. Then you get a couple of decals. So when you power it on, it gives you a status screen that looks like that. It gives you the input if you're charging, and then your battery capacity on the other hand there, and then you got your auto mode, your power, your if you want the beep on and off, and then the LCD, and then the temperature, the internal temperature, and how many weld counts you got. So it's got charging current ranges anywhere from 0 to 3 amps, and then your battery capacity it's got 4 squares, so 25% each. Auto manual, the default value is 1 second, and that's in auto mode. So when you touch the two probes, you got 1 second to make sure it's you're satisfied before it zaps it. And then the power, it's the amount of time how long it welds for, and it's all milliseconds. So you got from 1 millisecond all the way up to 99 milliseconds. And then you can turn the beep on or off. And then your LCD. So whether you want it, if you're welding like this, and you want to read it, or you're welding it like this, you can flip the screen 180. And then the temperature 0 to 99C, that's the internal temperature of the board. And then your weld counts. So it goes up to 99,999. And from what I seen, usually you're going to be, there's a couple of videos that I've seen, you're going to pretty much be maxing this thing out on power to do a proper weld. And then you got your user interface here. So you got your LCD screen, it's colored. Then you got all your, the big yellow thing there is, that's where you connect your welding leads. And then you got your user interface, your enter, your minus, and your plus. And then you got an optional port for a foot pedal. And then you got your USB charging cable port. And then you get the welding leads, and these were already assembled. So these tips are removable. They come out and they're replaceable. So you just pull them out, stick them in. Easy enough to figure out. And then you got a nice silicone 8-gauge wire with an XT90 connector. And you just plug it in, and you're ready to weld. And I'll have that in the next segment. So stand by. So, continuing on with the battery welder here, we will go ahead and plug this in and have more things roll off the table. And now it's just a matter of turning on the power. And then we have our little display. So we have input, amps, auto, beep, temperature, power, LCD, and weld. So I have no idea what any of that means. So I'll have to refer to the instructions. Let's see. Input, charging current. Okay, well that's for charging. That's not a problem. Battery capacity. Auto mode. So we are in auto mode. Power, beep, blah, blah, blah. So, I was monkeying around while I was waiting for this thing to ship. I found a couple of videos on YouTube. And this thing can weld the maximum of 0.15 strip. And pretty much with that, we're going to be setting the power all the way up to the max. Okay, so that should be ready to go. So the power is how long it welds for. So when you touch it together, and then after the delay, it zaps it for a certain amount of time, and it's milliseconds. And then in the kit here, you get a little sample of strip to try out. So we'll get our victim that fell on the floor. We'll try welding something to it, because I've never done this before. But we'll make it look good on camera anyway. So we'll just, it's thin stuff. So we'll just cut a little piece off. And then the trick is to, especially when you're welding several cells together, you got to get a jig or clamp or something to make it steady it and all that other good stuff. Now for the fun part, make sparks. Nice. Here's my first weld. So the trick is with these things is to see how easily you can tear this off. And that was nothing. So that was a fail. We'll try that again. Might have to zap it twice in the same spot. You can actually feel it go in. That's better. I think you can see that. So that's the trick is to figure out how much to stick it in there. Of course, that really didn't weld that great, because you should be able to, a good weld, you should be able to just to tear this and tear holes in it, so it's not tearing holes in it. It's kind of like the bottom side or something like that. You can actually feel these things getting warm when you blast these a couple of times. See what that did. See if that did a nicer job. That did a nicer job. Not perfect, but I think it's acceptable to build a battery. So, let's try a piece of the stuff I bought. See if that'll weld through. Be nice if these were a little longer. Whoa. I lost my probe. Lost my probe. It just shut off. I think it died. Oh, there it goes. Gives me a charge screen, but it won't power up. I think it died. I think it's dead. Is there any kind of weird timeout? Is it a reset? There's a button there. I think it's dead, folks. I think it's dead. Automatic shutdown. Without any operation, it'll automatically shut down after 5 minutes. Well, I've been using it and then it just died. I think it's dead, people. I think it's dead. You want to take it apart? Yeah, let's take it apart. So that sucks that it died. At least the Sequre screwdriver still works after almost a year. Can't say the same for this crappy welder that died after a couple of practice welds. Something smoked. I can smell it. Something burned up. Let's see if we disconnect the battery. See if we reset anything. Definitely not very tight. Not very tight, people. $5,000 milliamp, 5 amp hour battery packs. Where'd you go? So that's a shame. Get these final 4 screws in and see if it does anything. Probably not. Probably have to ship it back. Maybe I won't have to because they're from China, so maybe they'll just send me another one. Then I'll have a 10 amp hour battery pack. We'll find something to do with it. We'll put it in something. I don't know. All back together. So we'll see if it charges. So that part of it works. But it's completely dead for user interface. It is on though. It says the display don't work. Whoa! That welded the fuck out of it. Holy shit! Whoa! Yeah, this one's defective. Watch this. I'm gonna light this fucker right up. This thing has got direct battery right to the leads. There's no control on it. If I can hold it. My camera. I burned a hole in it. Yeah, she's bad. She's defective. She's a hazard. So you can definitely not have any leads hooked up. So the control circuit went bad. So this old girl will have to go back, or at least they'll have to refund me or send me another one, because this thing is obviously you can weld like a motherfucker with it, but there's no control. So that's it for this little demonstration. It died very quickly after, I don't know, less than 20 welds, and it's dead. Wah, wah, wah. Yes, folks, it's officially dead. So I contacted Sequre, and it took them a few days to respond, but they did respond back. And I told them what the problem was. And like more and more companies that, you know, sell their electronic goods, they're kind of like protecting themselves just in case you're just trying to screw them over. So they want some kind of either photographic or videographic info on what happened and you know, just so they can protect themselves and you know, because they don't want to lose any money if you're trying to do fraudulent things against them, and just try to get new stuff. So I'm all for that. I had to do this. I had to do some, you know, video so-called evidence for my Anchor 737, proving that it's dead. So that's pretty much what I did for here. So they says, can you provide us a video? So I provided the second segment of the video of me practicing the welds, and then trying a different strip, and then after that, that's when it died. And then I showed them, you know, and then when I showed you the camera and you people watching, I says, it's dead. You know, there was no screen. I was fiddling around with the buttons. I was trying to reset it. I was trying to throw the charger in and then hit the reset, and all kinds of different combinations. But the only thing I managed to actually show you is that if you throw the charger in there, it shows the charged screen, so it's not completely dead. And then I says, let's rip it apart. So I ripped it apart, and I showed you what's all on the inside. And I did the sniff test. I says, yeah, it's burnt. I could smell it. You know, I've been screwing around with electronics long enough. I know what burnt electronics smell like. So, and then after I says, oh, well, this is what's inside, blah, blah, blah. I says, well, let's disconnect the battery just in case, you know, the microcontroller is completely bricked. So usually sometimes that could help, but in this case it did not. So when I hooked it back on, I had no idea that these leads were live, you know, the welding leads. So when I started touching things, it was like, zzz, you know, full battery voltage to the leads. So contacted them, they replied back, show us some video, blah, blah, blah. I gave them the link of what I uploaded, and then they says, okay, we see. They probably figured I had it already apart. So can you give us the PCB number on the circuit board? So I provided that, and they also wanted the firmware version on the screen. So when you start the screen up, it gives you the firmware version. So I says, how am I going to provide them the firmware version? Well, since I had it apart, and I was looking closely at the circuit board, and the junction in between the screen and the main motherboard it's all labeled. So they had a 3.3 volt line and ground. So I got a little power supply out, and I injected power at 3.3 volts and provided the ground, and amazingly the screen lit up just long enough to do a semi-boot, just long enough for me to get the firmware version. And then I passed that along to Sequre, and they says, okay, our technical department does declare that something went wrong with your motherboard. You got two options. You can either opt for a new motherboard, and we'll ship it to you, a brand new motherboard. Or two, you can buy another one of these at 50% off, and we'll provide you a free foot pedal. So I says, just give me the motherboard. And that's how we left it. So I'm just waiting for the motherboard to come so I can get my welder back together and then move on. So big thanks for Sequre on backing up your products and having awesome customer service. So that's it for this video, and stay tuned for the next video where I transplant a new motherboard into this, and we'll see if it works. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.